before.
Okay, so, call in order, meeting the West Newbury Selectboard, March 30th, 2022 at 6:07 p.m.
Great.
Okay, so will you pull up that PDF?
Yeah.
So my name's Trent Lloyd. I am a landscape designer. I've worked in the North Shore for about 17 years, mainly doing private residential work. I've done some public work, some corporate campuses, some nonprofit work, but mainly private residential. I'm friends with when I met Angus, and they hired me to do this community sort of visioning work, and I did a lot of this in graduate school and sort of right out of after school, but after having children, did the more private stuff. So I'm excited to get back into this work. This is what I love. So thank you for hiring me. And so Mill Pine, you can go to the next slide. We're here for the Mill Pine trail design. So what's going to happen is we're going through a design process, and the first step is what we're doing tonight. It's the site analysis, and I've met with all these committees that you see: the Mill Pond Committee, the Open Space, the Parks and Rec, and now I'm meeting with you, and then I'm going to meet with the town staff hopefully in the next week or two. So that's the site analysis, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw two drawings, and I'll meet with the town staff and the planning board just for some pre-application feedback, and from that we'll bring it down to one concept or one design, and I'll we'll have a public workshop and present it to anyone that wants to be present. And then I'll hear feedback at that meeting, and then from that, I'll do another drawing, and we'll have a final concept at that point. So the hope is, I'm not going to put a timeline on this but the hope is, I don't know, a couple of months, we'll have a final design. And from that, I'll do some preliminary research on what are the construction costs and permitting requirements. And then at that point, we'll go from there. So that's the process. That's what we're doing right now. So next slide. So tonight what we're doing is I'm going to give you this presentation. It's about 3 minutes, and then I'm really just going to listen to y'all tell me what your ideas are for Mill Pond. So that's what we'll do under hopefully an hour. Okay, next slide. So when we talk about Mill Pond, it's a big place. So we're really just talking about this one area here where the cabin is and this trail that loops around the pond right there. So we're not talking about anything outside of that area. Okay, so looking at that area, I sort of broke it down in 4 different parts. First being the circulation. So you have the vehicular circulation around the cabin that y'all know, and then the pedestrian path that goes along the pond. And then you have the topography, and you can see the high points on the site, and you can see where the drainage would go. You can see the steeper sections, the flatter sections over where B is, and then the code requirements. This is the CONCOM requirements, the Conservation Commission requirements. So the magenta areas, you really can't do a lot. You can improve what's there, but you can't build much. And then the blue area, you could do a little more. You could maybe do a gravel parking lot, no impervious surfaces or anything like that, but you can do more. And then the aqua area, you can do whatever you want. So that's that. And then the fourth layer is the tree canopy. And we didn't tag the trees over on the right area. But the tree canopy on this left area is correct. That's where the trees exist on the site. So that's that. Next slide. So I went to the site, I've been a couple of times, but I went one day just in the middle of January and walked around and took some pictures and just, kind of took pictures of what I thought was beautiful and what and other, so these are just some photos of Mill Pond in January, looking back at the cabin as you approach on the road there, looking down from the cabin at the dock. Okay, next slide. So these are some photos of just sort of the human impression on Mill Pond. You have signs, you have bollards, benches, trash cans, gates. Okay, next slide. And then this is the picture of the parking. You can see the parking in kind of all different areas in front of the pond, to the side. Okay, next slide. And this is just a slide that illustrates what people love about Mill Pond, and that seems to be the recreation that's done there. It's sort of everything you can imagine. I mean, I could have put like 10 more pictures of what people do, but this is just a start. People love that it's open to all different forms of recreation. Okay, next slide. And this is just illustrating what we've talked about with this trail. And that's this idea of all access, which means it's easy for all people to use it, meaning strollers, elderly, people with disabilities. There's no requirement here, like an ADA requirement. There's no specific way. So it's pretty vague. You could say it's all access now, but it's kind of not. But generally what an all access trail means is it's usually about 7 to 8 feet wide. It's a hard pack kind of crushed granite material. So it's not like wood chips. And so if you had a stroller or a crutches or something, you wouldn't sink. That's generally what that means. Okay. And then here are just, some ideas of other areas around the North Shore that have, trails and parking that seems to work. So up in the upper left corner, that's an all access trail that goes around Gordon Pond at Gordon College. And then here are some parking areas that the Greenbelt has done, that's sort of designated parking with signage. So that's that. And now we're going to move to the important portion of tonight, and that's really just hearing your ideas. And Angus is going to kind of help me out with some typing, which is so nice. So what I'll do is I'm gonna pass around some just some Post-its. My husband worked at us. So did most of you have pens?
You know what? I meant to grab one on the way out of the car, and I think I
I've got actually, wait, no, this is the pen that. This is the pen.
Is this the Arnold Astor pen?
Yeah. I got it.
Okay.
You guys can share.
So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ask questions, and then I'll give you about 1 to 2 minutes to kind of be silent and write down your answers, and then we'll go around and you'll say, and hopefully like 2 to 3 minutes, like what you think, and Angus is going to type it up, and then we'll record all of this, and I've done this with the 3 or 4 other committees, and it'll be in a report. So when we do, when we're ready to ask for money to fund this park, you'll have a report saying we got 55 residents from West Newbury with 200 ideas, that illustrated that this is what they wanted, and that is extremely powerful for any sort of grant opportunity. So that's one reason why this is really important. So first what we're going to do is we're going to talk about this lower left quadrant here, and these are your observations of Mill Pond. So what I want you to think about is, what is the present status, and I want you to hone in on the details. So what are people doing there? What are they saying? What are they thinking? What are they feeling? I want you to think not just about what you think, but see all sides. Like what do other people think? What is or isn't happening in the space? what are the beautiful parts of the space and what are the unattractive areas of the space. So we'll just I'll give you like 1 or 2 minutes to just jot that down on the Post-its, and then we'll go through and talk about it.
This is just the waterfront, the area.
Just that trail.
I do want to acknowledge we've got a resident, Kevin Bowe here. I don't know, Kevin, do you want to?
Yeah,
Sure, I'll do it.
yeah, great.
I own. It is 2 birds with 1 stone. It's just a.
You'll have to give Kevin several.
I only walk it about 5 times a week since COVID. So I don't have a lot to say about it.
So y'all are gonna tell me your ideas and we're gonna record them up here, so you don't have to. You can write, these notes are really just for you and your talking points essentially. So I don't want you to actually think that it determines that. So Wendy, we'll start with you. Why don't you tell us your observations and Angus will type them up.
So full disclosure, I had stopped going there a couple of years ago because of the dog situation. So,
Yeah.
So that's one observation I have, is that there are a lot of dogs that are not under control. It's not comfortable to be there if you're not comfortable with dogs.
Right.
Another is that parking tends to be all over the place and in off hours when there's not a lot of activity, it's probably one of the most beautiful places in Newbury. The sun sets over the pond. So it's really enjoyable. Kids fishing a lot. The trail between the parking area and the dam can be super muddy. So the buildings underutilized, perhaps there's more that could be done with that. And the picnic area, the furniture is kind of run down. That doesn't present kind of open, inviting place to sit. Yeah.
Okay.
What did you say, Wendy, about parking? I think I missed that one.
It's not controlled. There's parking everywhere. People don't park in undesignated spots. They park near the water, which is not allowed. So it seems kind of negative. So.
No, that's exactly what, that's fun, that's great. No, the sunset sets over the pond, that is one of the most beautiful places in West Newbury. That's good. Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Rick?
So, sort of my context is that I'm typically riding through on a mountain bike.
Okay.
And so my exposure is fleeting most of the time, unless there's something going on, because we stop. And, you know, so my observation is that seems like the majority of people have dogs and under one state of control or another, which for me isn't necessarily a problem. I'm fine with dogs, and I say hi to them, and they're around and stuff, and pet them, and but not everybody is like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're loose, sometimes they're not. I don't like loose when I'm there. So the dog's loose.
Yeah.
I also see people just walking. I see people, they're walking around the area. I see people running, you know, I'm riding through and they're generally passing through as I am on my bike.
Yeah.
See people enjoying the views, similar to what Wendy noted. Look at slightly differently. The views sometimes are not positively impacted by the fact that everybody, the benches and stuff all look pretty run down and unfriendly, and not highly useful. The dog sometimes also scamps, although that may have been improved. I'll see other people watching. On occasion, as I'm riding through, I'll run into somebody I know, and mostly what we talk about is what's changing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Makes sense.
Changing can be, you know, unification of fun.
Right, right.
That's part of it, you know, it's, you know, so.
Yeah. Sounds great. Archie.
I would echo quite a bit what Wendy said. The first thing I put down was that the parking areas are rather ill-defined and they're kind of unattractive. So that was my first thought, is the parking areas. I know there's not a lot we can do about that, but I find the sort of the shoreline is sort of could be better. There's a lot. I don't know. You can't really, I know, now clean up ponds and stuff, but the shoreline's just seems a little ragged. One of the good things I like it does get used for this. Kids fishing from the dock, I think that's a great thing. And the fact that people use the shallow area for people to run their dogs into the water. Some people like that. I'm just observing it, but there's a group of people that like that capability, and as Wendy said, there's another group of people that that's a major turnoff. They don't like all the dogs running around. So
Yeah.
that's a double-edged sword. So those are my big things.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Okay. So moving on. Oh, yeah, sorry, Kevin, I'm so sorry.
That's clear. Well, I guess first observation is it's so ironic that, you know, a project to talk about something that positives of the park generates these kind of comments, and I share them and understand them. I mean, when my first thoughts were, you know, friendly, positive, you know, I just enjoyed so much. Fearful of its success, and all you guys articulated that, you know, there are just competing recreational interests, you know, horses, the dog, the walkers, so, you know, so, and then there is nothing organized or like the parking, you know, I mean, especially with the mud and all that kind of stuff. You know, we have kind of a laissez-faire attitude, and that's what's gonna happen when you have a laissez-faire, and you gotta avoid mud parking and all that stuff. And, so maybe a little too laissez. And you're right, no kind of, a lot of individual activities, but no organized activities, like, tree commissions doing the, you know, Arbor Day walks, or, you know, walks around nature, or activities for, you know, people of all abilities and things like that. And, you know, as the dog walker, I mean, I'm just lucky that my dog. This is a good dog, but I feel privileged, yeah, to be able, you know, we're one of the few towns that allow people who, you know, whether officially or unofficially, have, you know, walk freely with the dog. Dogs like to run around. And I personally would love to do anything to keep that privilege.
Yeah.
If that means licensing, permitting, et cetera, you know, it's a privilege. So I think that those comments, that, you know, the more critical comments, I think are reflective, unfortunately, of a lot of people not really respecting, you know, what we really have here.
Yeah, well, a popular place, it's a beloved place.
Yeah, we all could be, you know, we all will be bad. But, you know, yeah,
Yeah, those are great. Those are great. Okay, so moving on to the next quadrant, which is principles. And in this question, I want you to think about what matters most. What's the most important thing? What do you want Mill Pond to represent? So when people drive into Mill Pond and it represents West Newbury, what do you want that to be? What do you want that to feel like? What is the overriding feeling you want people to have when they arrive at Mill Pond? So we'll just take about a minute to jot those ideas down, and then we'll start with Wendy and go around the circle again. Okay. Wendy.
So the first thing that came to mind is welcome and, you know, and open. I'd like people to feel like it's organized and the expectations are clear, and, you know, everybody knows, you know, how things are supposed to go. And part of that, it would reflect that this is something.
Right. Yeah. Okay, Rick.
I want it to be a bucolic place where folks can sit and contemplate if they choose to, which is not normally what I do there, but which I know people who do that and they really enjoy it for that respect. That's what people who connect with nature.
Yeah.
Regardless of all that, any changes that might be, provide, so
right,
which is more of a fleeting exposure.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, but it's all about nature, that's number one, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Archie,
I guess, I don't know how you create this, but I like it, the feeling is, when you go to a new place and, oh, I want to explore here, I want to go down this trail, or it looks inviting that I want to go down here, versus, well, we gotta let's just go this way. I'd like it to be somehow like, I want to go down that. I don't know how to create that, but that's.
sort of, yeah, create sense for visitors to like, I want to go down a trail, or like welcoming or enticing or just.
That it's somehow inviting.
Inviting,
Yeah.
So just even when you drive up, when you drive in, it just feels like. And there is.
Like, for example, when you drive down the driveway of the crane estate,
Yeah,
well, you just can't wait to get to the
Right,
end.
right.
That kind of feeling.
yeah, that makes sense.
Destination, is
Yeah.
that work, Archie?
What's that?
The crane estate example, create a destination, is that
No, just just sort of that there's some kind of
a sense of place? or-
anticipation, or I don't know.
Yeah,
You
no,
can have
I
fun at
understand.
Disneyland.
There's like gateways, there's like a, yeah. Okay, Kevin,
It's a respite. Place to, enter it, they know they're gonna kind of feel relaxed, it's a place to. And second, hopefully it conveys that we have respect for land and nature. It looks accessible and enjoyable to a lot of different like types of people
yeah,
or like certain activities.
yeah,
I wanted to say that it's natural beauty, except that it isn't. It's an artificially created form. It is, it's not a natural form.
but it is natural light.
Yeah, but.
I know, I hear what
You
you're
know,
saying,
it
yeah,
is.
no,
We
Yeah.
dredged it and it was created by a dam, so, yeah.
Other than that.
okay, moving to the last category. These are your ideas. So essentially what I want y'all to think about is what are your big ideas? I don't want you to think that there's any financial constraints or construction constraints, just what are sort of the big ideas? What other ways are there than what we're doing now? Imagine the future. What should it be like in the future? What are some game-changing ideas for transforming the status quo and improving the future? Ask yourself what-if questions. So again, I'll give you 1 minute, and then we'll go around, and then we'll sort of prioritize some things, and then we'll be good. Okay. Wendy,
Limits parking to either behind the building or above in that parking lot. You got a raised walkway for, essentially the ADA walkway rather than a hard path. I think would look nice and it would be, I think, cool, and maybe provide some separation from dogs and horses. See an area that no dogs are allowed at, or a separate dog area. I'd like to see really an ADA compliant dock with platforms so that everybody. Maybe boat rentals, just, paddle boats or kayaks or something like that. And I'd really like to see afternoon programs. So
yeah. Great, so talking about the raised walkway, are you thinking like a raised boardwalk basically along the edge of the pond?
I'm not right on the edge, but because of the mud and the limitations of the wetlands, I think that might be a way to address that.
Right.
That would minimize the impact and would also provide some separation from the general traffic.
Got it, okay,
That was the first thing I wrote into.
okay,
I worked on board.
okay.
Wendy, I missed the second thing you said. After limit parking and before raised walkway.
The dock.
I got dock, I got parking. Take a look at what I wrote, see if I missed it.
Yeah, that's.
Okay.
Okay,
Oh, maybe a separate dog area.
Yes, oh, yeah, that was it.
Yeah, I know we can't do dog park. I mean, because there are people who want to let the dog run, and that's great, but it's just, there needs to be.
Certain trails.
yeah, I think so. Yeah. Okay, Rick?
I'd like to see, I know the term hasn't been used, maybe it has been used here, but an all-person trail runs all the way from where you enter around to the southern point, on the southern side, with really pretty views across the pond. And so I'd like to see something that is very ADA friendly, all the way to that point, which Wendy and Archie have said would involve at some point, some section at least would have to be boardwalk. Because there's on the far side of the southern side of the pond, there's uphill and rooty surface, which the only way to deal with that would be to put some kind of a hard surface, a boardwalk or something to make it so it's passable by anybody. But, I think that personally, perhaps the best view on the pond is from that side, from that point, and it gives you the most expansive. I see it's the most expansive view.
So Rick, so I think know where you're talking, so that would be looking back towards 113.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Which, you could argue that, okay, you see the houses, that's the most natural.
But it's kind of interesting.
But it gives you more of
It's not-
a view of the entire pond from that point, from end to end across. And at that point, I'd like to see a good seating option or options, so that people can, who have mobility issues can go to a place that really does offer. That's what we have in town. And where they can be comfortable. And I'd like to see some clear indication. I'm not sure exactly where this would be, a mapping term of options to explore, so you can see what the trail. So somebody coming into the area who doesn't know the area at all can understand what the trail options are.
Yeah.
Whether it be just the ADA friendly part or much larger trail network and then also I'd like to see nice seating area. You know, so the area where it's currently something that's durable and pleasant to be in.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, sounds good. Okay, RT.
Well, the boardwalk was my biggest thought,
Okay.
but also, you know, I don't know if this is sort of conflicting, but to have, maybe it would be in a different area or than this trail, but to have a, you know, kind of I forget what you call it, but where you have like a different exercise stations where you've got, you know, pull-up bars in one place, or, you know, done up nicely, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you call that? It's like a course, but, yeah,
Yes, I think circuit somehow works in there.
Yeah, I'll know what he's talking about,
Yeah.
different, I've done one of this, so.
It's probably just called an exercise circuit.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so raised boardwalk and exercise circuit were your two, okay.
Yeah, I think the raised exercise is the only idea I don't like it. Because it's more of a natural place, and I'd like to keep it natural. But anyway. Sorry. But making
I would
it,
write that down.
yeah, whatever.
So it wasn't one thing, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Okay.
Making it more accessible. First off, yes, if we can make it accessible right to that southern point that Rick was talking about, that'd be a huge one, because, you know, that basically extends the trail, because that's really not a trail. Wetlands, and grown over and all.
Yeah.
So if we could do something like that, then we could probably also do that in other parts of the park. Because frankly, I think we need to, even though it's a lot of area, like there's only a few trails that are regularly because it's not money. And so, you know, to share the park more, we need more trails that, like, you know, like these are the trails for the dog people. We might need some, you know, improvement on the trails, you know. And so if we could, like I said, if we could do that to the south, that would prove that we can improve a lot of those trails. And yeah, for the ability, also for those with all abilities, and also reforestation of hill park. That we're getting decent. You know, eventually there will be nothing there.
You're talking about because of the emerald one.
Yes, yeah, primarily probably. I mean, time, at least it's like. I mean, you know, we're, you know, after storms and winters, you just see, you know, whether they're pines even, that just like get wiped out and the MLS and all that. But we you know, we gotta treat that as a forest. And inevitably, you know, we need to probably put some controls on whether it's designated trails or different things and I don't know, whatever, that, you know, because you need to protect it. The cabin, question mark, you know, what do you do with that? I mean, you know, I assume it really is functional, but you know, I don't know if we have to rebuild it or whatever, but, you know, back to the activities and all that kind of stuff, and that's central to it. So, you know, for group activities, and really, yeah, make it a resource or an educational thing for the youth that they can use and nature and a whole lot of stuff. And
I mean, you said something about controls and then started talking about the cabin. I'm not sure if
well, you
that
know,
was a,
parking controls, the amount of people that come in at a certain, I mean, you know, I'm talking 20, 30 times. You know, again,
When our population is there.
yeah.
But that already happened.
When I was zoning that. But yeah, I mean, it's just back to that, you know, our you know, dealing with our success with the area. And we really have those values, whatever. What are our values? And at some point, we soon, you know, we just can't, I mean, like the root system, you know, back to the paths and stuff, I mean, or, I mean, you know, how do we, you know, make these trails where we're not tripping over the roots? And we're killing, you know, we're damaging, as we're using this park, we're absolutely damaging. And, you know, we've got to take that into big consideration.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I said, I feel privileged.
Live in a beautiful place, so. So we'll thank you for all of that, and this is, like I said, extremely helpful. We have 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I'm just gonna like quickly review, you know, what you said, summarize, and all this is again gonna be saved word for word, so it's not going anywhere. And then maybe we'll look at your ideas and like kind of a couple. But it sounds like, so for the sort of observation, what you're seeing is parking is not organized. And erosion and drainage and wet trails need to be dealt with. And dogs can be a problem. But it's like, it's all about nature. It's a bucolic, beautiful spot. So that's kind of what I sort of heard in a nutshell. And then your principles, how do you want Mill Pond to be represented in your community? Is you want it to be welcoming, you want it to be a place where you arrive and it brings you in. Again, it's all about nature. That's what you're doing here. And so you want it to be just a beautiful respite for your community. And you want it to feel like well taken care of and organized. So ideas, how do we accomplish that? So parking is something that we need to address. Drainage, erosion control is something that we need to address. It sounds like all access is something that we need to address. Tell me, and then obviously preserving the natural integrity of the spot is something that needs to stay and remain an ethic.
Can I just throw out a concern that it didn't really fit in any of the categories?
Yes, of course, yeah.
I guess I have some concern about the impact of, I understand it's great when dogs and horses can go in the water, but it's a small body of water with very, very, very slow flow through it. And
It's not a deep pond either.
And I'm quite concerned about impact on water quality of dogs and horses going in the water, and you know, horses poop wherever they happen to be.
Right.
And sometimes dogs do too. And so that particular issue, I have significant concern about water quality and then how that human interaction with the water after that.
Yeah. That makes sense. Can we write that down in the observations? In the first quadrant, so we'll remember that.
First one was, this is the first quadrant? All right, so.
At this point, I won't have my dog swim in that thing, because it always gets infected.
Yeah, okay.
Algae blooms, the thing is, it's poisonous, that one.
Yeah.
That's not.
Yeah, but it's a, well, it's back to, no, but it's a double-headed, if dogs are pooping in there, or then the nitrogen content goes up and the algae grows there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that goes under us maintaining that, you know, the practical nature.
Yeah. So when I say what your priorities are, am I hearing you correctly? We're saying parking, erosion control and drainage, all access, and sort of, I'll just say like more organized, meaning dogs more organized, trail system more organized, just better, you know, a more organized approach to what goes on there. Would you say that is what, okay.
And the dog as well.
The dog is all access.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the frequency, I think we all mentioned that. the frequency.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
maybe that just goes to.
Yeah.
The watering hole.
I like Wendy's idea of having some form of craft available to get in the water. That's good.
Yeah, like more organized, like maybe boat rental or something like that. So if we could go back to that PDF real
Yes.
quick, it was kind of at the beginning, and then I just wanted to kind of show you the site analysis drawing. Yeah, just scroll back to that. So when you look at this, so this pink area, we can't really do a lot to, right? That's in the Concom's jurisdiction.
So I just want to throw this out. Will the new bylaw pretty much eliminate doing anything?
I think this reflects the new bylaw, this 50 feet right now, it's the policy is 25 feet.
No, but around a pond would be 200 feet.
No,
Yeah.
it's a river is sort of.
When we have our, the staff meeting, I'll
Yeah.
make sure to get an answer on that.
I think it's considered a pond, I don't think it's river. Oh, sorry. I didn't recognize you. Sorry.
It's an intermittent.
I've talked to, who's the staff member?
Michelle,
Michelle, I've talked to Michelle, and I kind of have an idea of what you're talking about. So we'll get that straight, but the basic, that pink area, we can't do a lot. We can buy a new picnic table, we can buy a new bench. The boardwalk, I don't know.
I think that
We
was-
can improve the path, the existing path, we can improve the condition of it, we can improve the drainage, things like that. But there's not a lot of building that could happen there. The blue is a little more flexible, even though it's still in their jurisdiction. So some ideas have been with some other committees, I just want to throw it out there just so there's not really any reason you have to circle this cabin, and the cabin is actually from my eyes, it's not in bad condition. It's absolutely beautiful, and it's doing pretty well. Yeah. So
We put a new roof on it relatively recently.
All right, yeah.
But
Yeah.
it doesn't have any facilities.
yeah, like plumbing and stuff. Yeah. So one idea is that this road,
doesn't?
It has water, but it doesn't have that.
It doesn't? Oh.
It's definitely not needed, right?
Well, it has wood still there.
Yeah.
that this road is, so a lot of the part.
Like a kitchen, a sink?
Yeah, there's a kitchen with a sink, but there's no.
Okay, oh, all right.
So a lot of the parking, kind of happens here, even though it says no parking, you get people parking along here. And then when you're here, it hurts the view, right, of the pond. And even when you're back here and looking here, you see cars. So one idea is to this road right here, like you don't really need that. So if you naturalize that and you drove up here, and you can see with the blue, you could potentially put parking right here. And you already have a lot of parking up here, but you put some parking here, mainly, handicap parking or people dropping off boats, but you put, and then all that becomes naturalized. So it just is it's beautiful, right? It's not a parking lot. You're not staring at, cars over there at that entrance. And then, so I just wanted to say that, I just wanted to or just tell you, that's something that some committee members have pointed out as an idea. So I'd love your feedback. That's one solution. We can come up with others, but another one would be this area, because again, you can see the blue and that's flat, but anyway, what are y'all's thoughts on that? What do you think about those ideas? There's parking as solutions to parking.
Yeah, I think that would be good. If you could
I think it's
control it.
good.
Yeah.
I guess my only concern about that would, I think, require widening and, I hate to use the word, but I'll use it anyway, upgrading the road that goes up the hill by the cabin, because when in the winter, even though there may not be snow to keep from going there, it can be slippery, it can be, we would probably end up with stuck cars. Plus, I don't think it's really wide enough for 2 cars to pass. So currently, I've only seen cars, and I've driven down there a couple of times. I don't generally, I wouldn't have reason to drive down there, but I've always sort of gone around in a clockwise direction, or I'm sorry, in a counterclockwise direction. And, I think that seems to be the habit of anybody who goes there. It could be wrong, but that's what I've observed. And, so I don't know. I would love to get that. I think that's a good idea to get rid of that road down below. But then the road up above that remains has to somehow accommodate the 2-way traffic. And
It still does, Rick.
excuse me,
Well, why would it be any different? I'm confused why.
does it currently accommodate 2-way traffic?
No, but I mean, it doesn't anyway.
But if we've eliminated the bottom, the other road where you can't have a circuit, we can't have a road a road that there's no return from.
Well, at the very least, that's a steep up
Yeah,
that hill. I mean,
It is, yeah.
You're right about some kind of upgrade.
Yeah. Yeah, so we would study it, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to let you know that was what some other.
So-
yeah, I think it's certainly worth looking at. It's just
Yeah.
a question of how, whether or not it proves to be.
If we're trying for accessibility, if you think about the cabin and the pond is a good, I don't know, 20, 30 feet down.
Mhm.
So then you might have to be able to, if we're trying to be, accessible, then from that, it's because now the vehicles would not be at sort of near pond level, they'd be up high. There'd have to be some kind of ramp to get people down to pond level. Because think of where the cabin is, and behind it is even a little higher. To get down to there, I don't know what the grade is there, but that might.
Yeah, and that's something that, again, that's a principle that I think people, we need to think about, because when we talk about accessible, we're not talking about, urban accessible, we're talking about nature trail accessible. So like, obviously right now, I mean, this is, not even a foot, well, it's about a foot wide and it's underwater. So that's just not at all accessible to even a person with a stroller, or, I mean, it's just, right, this is going downhill versus this is probably even, this is easier for someone than this is now. Like, so I guess what I'm saying, it's still a nature trail, so it's still gonna be, it is what it's not gonna be as easy as going down an ADA compliant.
Oh, it's,
sidewalk,
okay,
yeah.
I guess I'm like overestimating the accessibility.
Well, no, you're not. And I think it's really good to think about like what, what does that mean? What does all access mean to West Newbury Port? What is all access? How far can we go? But we have to think about like, we can only do so much because of the jurisdiction of what we're allowed to do. But I think if y'all, again, we're gonna have a lot of ideas in the next meeting, and we'll talk more about like concrete solutions to this thing stuff. But
You
if
guys
y'all are
keep,
ever,
Wendy's just gonna take over, so I'm just gonna
Oh, yeah.
back out. So
Okay, great.
take your time.
if you get a chance, Gordon College actually has a really great trail. Do you not bike there?
I never have.
Okay.
I've heard a lot of people talk about it, but I never have.
Right, so
And that could be
it's,
another reason.
yeah, it's great, and it goes around the pond, just like Mill
Thanks.
Pond, it's very similar. It's a good comp for this, and
Thanks, Trent.
oh, you're welcome. And it's not perfect, I mean, after a heavy rain, there'll be some standing water, or in the winter, there's ice sometimes. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's pretty good. So it's something, if y'all have a moment in the next couple of months and y'all want to drive down there walk it. It's a good example of what this could be. And it's well maintained, and I've talked to the guy who maintains it, and we could, it's good to have a friend who can copy what they do, if they've done a good job.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I just wanted to throw that idea out at you, but basically it sounds like, from this group, I'm hearing parking, erosion, all access, and just more organized around people, dogs, everything.
Mhm. I think there's room to do work in that 50-foot zone.
In the blue.
No, in the pink. I
Oh.
mean, just putting a post for an elevated walkway, that's one of the reasons I suggested that, because that's a 4x4
Mm-hmm. Right.
impact. And it's not in the wetland, it's in the buffer zone. So-
Yeah. Well, let's talk to Michelle. I mean, from what I understand, I mean, of course, there's always variance, right? I mean, there's.
Well, right, I
always
mean,
ways
people
to-
put houses in, in buffer zones, so, right now, there's a 25-foot no disturb policy, but that's, you're saying, or this says that 50 feet, you can't do anything. I think I was on the Conservation Commission, and that's
Yeah.
much more restrictive than what it was 2 years ago, so.
Yeah, so maybe you know more, but my understanding is really within 50 feet, you couldn't build a house, but you're saying, or anything. You're saying that.
There's nothing in the regulations that support that, so.
Okay, well.
I mean, you can't do it without going through the Concom, so you'd be subject to a notice of intent and all of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's kind of what I'm talking about, and I got the feeling from talking to, that's funny, because I sat on the Concom too, and it would be very hard for anyone to approve like a house within 50 feet of a wetland, but maybe the one I sat on was like much stricter. But yeah, it just depends, I
Yeah.
guess who you're presenting your argument to.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's keep the boardwalk. The boardwalk is
The
something
boardwalk
we'll
is
definitely explore.
One way a lot of places get through.
But there's
a
boardwalks in the wetlands in Mill Pond. So, I mean, that,
Right.
Greenbelt puts them through wetland areas, like in the wetland, not in the
Right,
buffer.
right,
So
right,
it's
right.
Yeah,
really,
sometimes the irony of overly strict regulation of things like boardwalk and wetlands is by restricting them, you actually cause more damage.
More damage, yeah.
Yeah.
There are a limited amount of woodlots in Mill Pond right now.
that's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
In the wetlands. So, yeah.
Because I was trying to visualize how, I apologize, I don't know your name.
No, Trent, that's okay.
Your name?
Trent.
Oh, Trent.
Yeah.
Is how do you visualize, like, from the parking lot to, the picnic tables?
Uh-huh,
That's where that trail is very wet and all that. That's where that purple is.
right here.
Exactly. So how would you see that trail physically looking to make it more accessible? Would it be just more dirt, or is it a boardwalk, or is it just the way it is? And-
Yeah, so in terms of construction, you would, you'd widen it, you'd compact it.
Yep.
And you would basically put a layer of crushed granite on top of it. So, I mean, that's pretty much,
And so after, like, the spring melt, or just lots of rain and all that kind of stuff, it'll puddle more than.
okay, sorry, so you would you'd probably do a crushed construction gravel, so you raise it,
Okay, yeah.
then you compact it,
Okay, yeah.
then you put your granite,
So you'd have a much more durable path to that.
a much more durable
Would
path.
not probably.
But that's just one way. I mean, a boardwalk is
I think
not,
that's less impacts on the resource areas to put
Right.
a boardwalk instead of gravel and,
Right,
packing
right,
it.
right.
And then you have to worry about the gravel migrating out of the path.
Right. right. Well, yeah, those are two options, we'll-
Except it's a lot more expensive.
Well,
Yeah.
snap, which is more expensive. Boardwalk.
Boardwalk, yeah.
And also the maintenance, my own boardwalk is probably more as well, I would think.
Well, if you use
Not
pressure
necessarily.
treated,
Depends on how
I think.
much migration out of the material. Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it might be good to have maybe not the Conservation Commission, but Michelle involved with that preliminary, the two designs that are going before planning board?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
just, yeah.
We're meeting, I'm hopefully meeting with the town staff and she's included next week and then doing drawings and then meeting with them again.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so there'll be a lot of preliminary, a lot of talk about all this.
So was the Mill Pond Committee in favor of this parking change? Because when we first discussed it, they were totally against it.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. It was their idea.
Really?
Mhm. So I didn't bring it up. So I brought it up to you because it's been 3 other committees' ideas. So I just thought, it's like, I might as well versus surprising you, so,
Yeah. That was the original concept, and when it was presented to the Mill Pond Committee, they were totally against it. So,
yeah,
so maybe they've come around, which is
Yeah,
great.
maybe they just had to think about it a little bit.
Yeah.
yeah.
So my question is still, Rick, you're saying, well, this part of it is still the same, it's still,
Oh, no,
It's
no,
not
no,
any
no, it's not,
wider
that's,
there.
no, that's not the area I'm concerned about.
Where are you
It's
concerned
going
about?
up behind the cabin.
Up to here.
Yeah,
That's pretty much a
that's
single.
a bit of a hill climb and then. you
And
go
then
over-
fire
you go over
access.
the top of the hill and it's.
but this is the hill right here, coming down,
You know,
Right,
the-
the hill goes up behind the cabin. Right
it goes
now.
up there too?
Yeah. right
Yeah,
now,
actually, we can see
people
the contours. If you look up above at A on the contours.
Yeah.
You can see the contours and you see A is pretty much right where the cabin is.
Yeah.
But look down, imagine the low point on the road, superimpose it on the, on. the-
Okay, so that's-
On the contours,
Okay,
and you see how much it climbs and then it goes around behind the cabin and then it drops back
I
up.
guess see, I always go down and turn around here and go back.
Right.
I've never gone around
Yeah,
it, so
and
that's
it's not-
weird.
Right, yeah, so, and that's why, so that the way that you normally go, that you've always gone, what we're talking about is that not existing anymore, and then the only option is to go up around behind the cabin. At which point it now needs to become two-way traffic, plus we need to make sure that it's at a grade that anybody can negotiate,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah,
And is fire truck access an issue? Do they have to be able to get up behind there? Or could they fight
Boy,
the fire?
it probably does for rescue vehicles, if something happens at the pond, they probably need to
And
get.
there have been
Yeah.
issues, yeah,
Right. Yeah,
that's a good call.
that is, yeah, I mean, actually, it was on the other side, but here on this north side of the pond, Trent, this is tragic, like 3 or 4 years ago, a little kid drowned. There was a party and a little kid wandered down to the pond, I don't know the whole story, but, fell in the water and drowned.
oh my God.
So, I mean, that was in somebody's backyard, because, those houses that line that shore, but the point is that it couldn't happen anywhere.
Yeah. So, if we did that, we would definitely have to make
Yeah,
a turnaround area.
But people do park behind there now,
Yeah, yeah,
so I think that's a
And
very
also,
logical
if you're
place.
using I'm just thinking back to bad memories of being a Boy Scout leader. But try to block that out, but
You wanna cross the
when
main?
you're bringing stuff to the cabin, you do it, but you sort of want to do it behind, because you don't want to carry it up the hill. So,
right.
I didn't want to lose this information or I'll be in big trouble.
Oh,
That cabin, the cabin's actually in good shape. I mean, I haven't been inside it probably for 10 years, but last time I was inside of it, it was in really nice shape.
It's okay, yeah.
It's a cabin, so.
I don't use
But I think
PC very well.
sound.
Oh my gosh, this is not what I want.
so I can.
Do you know how to work this
It's a
computer? If you can you just give me a
resource that
blank
doesn't
Word
really
doc?
get utilized at all.
Yeah,
No.
right, yeah. Yeah, but, yeah. I mean,
And
one of
then
the
just
limitations
paste
is the fact
where-
that There is no sanitary facility there.
Okay, awesome. And then if you could,
Porta potties, but then obviously
guess
the whole problem
save,
grows.
as,
We could spend $20,000 or $30,000 on a composting toilet.
we can delete
That's-
it right after we save. it. Just
Sort of a joke, but not really.
No, I
That was-
didn't
that was-
think that was
Yeah.
a joke, no.
Sure.
But
And then just say,
how-
can you find that after you say that?
Yeah, it's in the down.
what's
Okay,
the
so save it, and then if you
capacity that
email
those-
me.
I don't know, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sure, Amos did this last time and I just realized he left the room like, oh my God, if I lost all this.
Like a small
So I
table,
can have him, so we can stop sharing, right?
Yeah.
Scout convention, use it, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.